All right, welcome to another video. I'm just glad you decided to join us. We're going to take some time and do some little side things for a little bit. I'm excited for what's coming today. Today's a little bit of a different topic. I didn't plan on this one, but this one kind of just came up and it got pulled to the front of the line. And so we're looking at one today. We're called All. And this kind of comes from one verse, but we're going to look at a couple other verses to kind of piece this together. And this video really is only for those that are like stressed or anxious or worried or concerned or overwhelmed or nervous or any of those kind of things. If you're any of those kind of things, you can continue watching this video. If not, you're perfect. Send me an email so I know how you're doing life so we can figure this out together. But did you know that Jesus experienced all those kind of things? Jesus experienced stress and worry and overwhelmed, and we find that in one particular spot in his life. And I'm sure he had other moments where he was kind of overwhelmed. I'm sure dealing with the disciples like he had to do overwhelmed him a lot because, you know, those was a wonderful group of dudes he was hanging out with. You know, they weren't all together all the time, and he was probably just wanted, but he was Jesus and he didn't do things like that. Jesus, in this particular moment, realized what was going on, realized what exactly was coming. And the weight of everything, the entire world, you and me and us and everything, was on him. And we see in Luke 22:44, and being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. And so we see Jesus in this moment. And John 18 tells us that he knew everything was to come. He knew that what was coming to him. He knew the crucifixion was coming to him. He knew what was coming leading up to that. He knew everything that was coming, even though he was human. And this is what kind of confuses a lot of people, and I'm not going to go into it, but he was God. But when he left heaven, he came down here and gave that up. But he still had the Old Testament. So where a lot of people get confused, and I said I wasn't going to go into it, but I guess we are. He had the Old Testament. He had what the Old Testament said. And being Jesus, and the fact that we have an 18-year gap in his life, I think he was studying the Old Testament. I think he knew what was coming. I think he knew who he was. And at this moment, he kind of knew what was coming. We see another verse in Mark 14, where it says, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death." So he was talking to his disciples when he said that, but he was feeling this overwhelming time because he knew what he had to do. He knew what he was going to do. So real quickly, how does he fix it? We find it in the earlier verses. He's actually praying. He's actually praying where he always prayed before. He's told his disciples to pray too, so they don't fall into temptation. Pray for whatever they want to pray for, but he keeps finding them sleeping. See, like I said, we're stressed and worried and overwhelmed, and they're sleeping. Apparently, they had nothing on their mind. Jesus just had the world on his. So we see he withdrew himself about a stone's throw beyond and knelt down and prayed. He said, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." So we see him ask. And sometimes, just like us, we ask. And God will sometimes take away what we're feeling. He'll take the situation away. He'll make it all better. And sometimes he won't. And this is what we see here, because obviously we know the rest of the story. We know that just a few verses later, he's arrested and betrayed by Judas, and everything that he's on his mind and everything that was about to happen happens, and God didn't remove him. But we see in verse 43, an angel from heaven appeared to him and strengthened him. So God didn't take his destiny away, his mission away, but he strengthened him to go through it. So sometimes, even though we're facing what we're facing, even though we're dealing with what we're dealing with, God can give us the strength to go through it, just like he did Jesus. He gave Jesus the strength to get up, walk over to his disciples, find them sleeping again, and be betrayed by Judas, and the rest is in the rest of the Gospels. But so sometimes Jesus felt the way that we did. And we sometimes don't think he can handle that. He can't handle our doubts. He can't handle our worries. He can't handle our insecurities or our anxiety. But the Bible says, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. And it doesn't say some, it doesn't say few, it doesn't say just that one. It says all. Jesus isn't afraid of our anxiety. Jesus isn't afraid because he cares for you. And how does he care? Because he's been there. The Bible says that he feels everything that we felt. He knows everything that we felt. And I don't think any one of us has had the world on our shoulders, but not diminishing anything that you might be going through or that you might be facing. We're not doing that. But I'm just saying Jesus can handle it. Cast all your care on him. Cast all your anxiety on him. He cares for you. He wants it. He's not afraid. He just wants us to know that he's there and that he does care. And because he cares, because he's been through it. That's why he cares. He knows what we're feeling. And so I wanted to leave with one verse. I didn't put it on the screen, but it says, "Now may the Lord of peace himself give you peace at all times and in every situation. The Lord be with you all." And that's what I want to leave you with. Apparently they had nothing on their mind. Jesus just had the world on his. Hey, that was kind of deep.